What's up, you guys? It's Chris Ivan here with Legend Life, and today let's talk about how to love yourself. And the first thing you're probably wondering is why I'm even qualified to say anything about that. Don't you love yourself, Christopher? And yes, I do, but I used to. No, what I'm saying is that I now love myself more than I ever used to. And we're going to be talking about that, how I transform my personal love with myself, and how you can do that as well with your life. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about the difference between narcissism and loving yourself, because as it would appear, narcissists truly love themselves, don't they? And so it's pretty easy to tell that that's actually not the case. Today, we're also going to try using notes for the first time with these videos. Actually, I've taken one other one with notes, but normally I just, wing it and say what's on top of my mind. So I might be looking down here now that I'm actually going to try using notes for this video. Let me know if you guys like it in the description down below. Not the description, the comments. Okay, cool. With that being said, let's move straight into it. I guess really, let's just do a quick little story. I would say I probably struggled more so with the concept of self-love in through my high school years and those teenage years, which makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of changes going on around that time, and I wouldn't say ever that I hated myself, right? That would be I would say that would be more of an extreme, but I definitely wasn't happy with the person that I was at the time, and I felt a lot of guilt and shame with who I was. And actually, now that I talk about it more, it reminds me of this stupid Twitter game that people used to play back in high school, and it was this game called hashtag Let's Make It Awkward. And pretty much in my high school, and I don't know if anybody else did it, but the hashtag Let's Make It Awkward meant that when someone tweeted out that hashtag, it was time to just, diss on everybody. So you'd put your hashtag Let's Make It Awkward, and then you'd tag a person or a couple people, and you'd say, what thing was wrong with them or whatever. And so the example that I can think of off the top of my head was that I used to, back in high school, I was more of a player guy. I was talking to a ton of girls all the time, and some girl tweeted the hashtag Let's Make It Awkward, and then she tagged me, and she put hashtag Let's Make It Awkward, Chris and every single girl in our school. And it cracks me up now talking about it. But the reality is, at that time, being 16 years old, I was like, oh my God, everybody sees me as a total douchebag. It's such a fuck boy. And I felt really bad about myself for that, because I never really, I never meant to give off that image. And I thought I clearly associated something very negative with that, because then I thought, people were just thinking I was gonna use them or something, and that was never my intention. I've never been that kind of person. I've always been a lover of people and a social guy. So just the fact that came up and that I was, flirting with so many girls and stuff really made me feel very bad about expressing myself and my, I guess, sexuality in a way, and my love for people. And I really put myself in a spot where I stopped talking with people as much as I would have continued to talk to them, and stop being as friendly as I did. And then I tried to put on the facade of trying to act like this cool, aloof dude, because I didn't want to be so engaged with people all the time, when that wasn't really the true me. So then, because I felt guilt and shame about the person that I was, I started to try to suppress that within myself and hide that about myself. And this probably kept going on for a period of about, I would say more so 8 years, a long time, because those years are really important in your development. And there were glimpses throughout those 8 years where I would go back to being my fully social self and talking to people and being outgoing and everything and doing all the crazy stuff that I normally do. And those times were the times that I felt the happiest in my life, because I was finally being fully authentic. And then, I would switch back into my mode of trying to not be that person, because I had so much guilt and shame associated with being the cool, fun, outgoing person that I normally am in any social situation. So during those times, that's when I would say I would struggle the most with loving myself for who I truly was. And that's because I felt shame about who I was at my core, which was, a fun, social, outgoing guy. And I didn't want to accept that about myself because I thought if I fit in with everybody, then I would be really happy. And by fitting in, because us as humans, we're a social species, right? We have a need and a heavy desire within ourselves to fit in, because if we don't fit in, if you think about it like from a biological standpoint, if you don't fit in with your tribe and you don't have a tribe that you're with, you're going to die out alone. Okay, so someone just came into my house and that distracted me, so let's just start over, and I had to let him in. Anyway, as I was saying, was at that time I was feeling, for a long period, many years, I was feeling shame about like the person that I truly was inside, and feeling that it was wrong to allow myself to fully express that person that I know that I am at my core. And so because I struggled with this, I did not want to share with people with who I was. And as long as I had the perception inside of my head that other people didn't like the true core of who I was, then by not allowing myself to express that, I was actually expressing to myself on a subconscious level that I didn't fully love myself for who I was. Because if I fully loved myself for who I was without any shame or guilt or anything, then I would have allowed myself to just be myself in the first place. But in fact, I felt like being who I was wrong, because society told me I was wrong. And because they told me that they didn't like it. And by being that person, I ended up just digging myself in a hole where I didn't fully like myself. And actually, I found out that people didn't fully like the fake facade of the person that I was being. Of course, there's always going to be people in life that don't like you, right? But by not allowing myself to fully be myself, I was actually just hiding myself from the world. And by hiding myself from the world, I was not allowing myself to love myself, and I was not allowing the world to see me for who I truly am. And as long as you're hiding yourself from who you truly are and hiding who you truly are from the world, you're never going to be able to fully love yourself. And this is where the concept of authenticity comes in. The concept of authenticity is just allowing yourself to be fully vulnerable about who you truly are at your core, because we've put on this mask to conceal ourselves, because many of us don't truly even know ourselves. We try to hide who we are, and by hiding who we are, we think that we're going to be safe. That is why we create these false facades of who we think we are, is to keep us safe. So you have to understand, any time that you're dealing with an authenticity issue and you're not loving yourself, it's because you're not being fully authentic with yourself, and you're not embracing your true core of who you are. And you can only learn to fully, truly love yourself as long as you decide to embrace the core of who you are as a person. And this is where it comes down to how you act around other people has a lot to do with your self-love. By hiding yourself from other people, let's say you're in a social situation, think of any social situation you've been in where you hide who you truly are at your core. And maybe like, you're not allowing yourself to be out there. You're sending yourself a message that it's okay to not be who you are. And as long as you're sending yourself a message in these social situations, that as long as you're holding yourself back, you're telling yourself it's not okay to be who you are, then you're not going to love yourself fully. But by realizing in these situations when you're with other people, bringing up the courage inside of yourself to be who you truly are, especially those first few times, because the more you do it, the more you allow yourself to be who you truly are around you, other people, the easier it is to love yourself over the long time. And the more you will learn to love yourself even more fully and more deeply than you already do. But you have to be willing to take the courageous steps at first to allow yourself to be fully who you truly are and express yourself as you are without feeling guilt or shame and trying to hide that from other people. Because when you express it to other people who you truly are, you're telling yourself at that point that it is okay to be who you are, and you would rather be who you are fully and love yourself and express yourself as you are than not be loved, than to be loved for somebody you're not. And so by allowing yourself to be who you truly are, fully authentic, then you will have a much easier time loving yourself as a whole. Now, This also has to do, the next portion of loving yourself has to do with how you allow other people to treat you. Keep in mind, you can never control anybody else. You can't stop anybody from really doing anything, or you just can't control other people's free will. You can only control your free will. And like I mentioned in some of my other videos, boundaries are not about controlling other people's actions. It's about controlling your own actions, about what you're willing to do. And you must be willing to set healthy boundaries for yourself about how you allow other people to treat you. As I've mentioned in some of my videos, my covert narcissistic ex-girlfriend used to disrespect me at times, and as long as I was in that relationship with her, I felt like I was disrespecting myself by allowing myself to be dating someone who was disrespecting me. Therefore, I had lowered my own self-respect because I was allowing myself to be with that type of person. And the moment that I left that relationship, I was so much happier, and I felt so much more respectful towards myself. And by treating myself with my own respect, I was able to love myself even more fully than I already did. And that helps a lot. So next, let's talk out real quickly about the difference between narcissism and loving yourself. So the thing is, plain and simple, is narcissism is not loving yourself. Narcissism comes from people who hate themselves, who struggle with confidence issues, who feel like they need to appear as greater than they actually are, because they are putting on their facade of being somebody they're not. And by putting on this incredible facade of being so grandiose and so incredible and being better and higher than other people, they're really just telling themselves that it's not okay to be who they are, and that is why they struggle with so many issues and trying to manipulate people. It comes from a place of powerlessness, not self-love. Having genuine self-love comes from a place of embracing and accepting yourself for who you truly are at your core. And by embracing and accepting yourself, you can love other people more fully. And narcissism has an incredible way of coming down to treating other people with disrespect as they're less than you. Whereas self-love has the incredible effect of helping you treat other people with love and kindness, and it stops being a competition of I'm better than you and this and that. It's like, because you love yourself, you're able to love other people more fully as well. So how you treat yourself is, are you kind to yourself in all areas of your life? Are you loving to yourself in all areas of your life? Are you always taking into consideration your best interests in certain things, you know? And does that mean, sometimes maybe that means taking a lazy day for yourself, a self-care day, and sometimes that means not letting yourself have a self-care day. Maybe sometimes it's getting up off the couch and exercising because you love yourself and you want yourself to be healthy. So how you treat yourself is very important. You must make sure that you're always treating yourself full of love. So finally, the last thing that it comes down to helping you love yourself is understanding the parts of you that you don't like, understand why those parts of you are there, and then decide, what do you want to do about it? Do you want to keep that part of yourself fully as it is, or do you want to maybe change a little bit something about yourself? Keep in mind that personalities are always changing. Personalities are never stagnant. Every single thought that you have, every single action that you take can help shape and change your personality at any given point in the future as you keep going forward through life. So you have to understand what parts of you do not feel like are okay. What parts is it? For me, I just explained to you in that Twitter story, it was me feeling like I shouldn't be happy and outgoing because people thought it was wrong, and they didn't like me for it. So I felt like that part of myself was not okay to have. And as long as so then that's when I started putting on the facade of pretending to be someone I'm not. The reason I put on that facade was because I felt like I needed to fit in. And if I had that facade going on, then I would fit in with people, and then I would be safe. See how I just went through that whole process? So now I want you to ask yourself, what are you doing if you're not being fully authentic with yourself and other people, and why are you doing it? What is it? Because at the end of the day, there's a positive intention for every single thing that you do. And having that part of you that is not being fully authentic, it probably has something to do something very similar to mine. So take a moment to fully understand why you feel that way. And then instead of being mad at yourself for having come across that solution or doing the thing that you had done, just understand that that's what you went through. And now it's okay to fully release yourself to be who you truly want to be. If you want to keep that part of you that is inauthentic, that's okay. Because maybe you're going to embrace it as a part of your own personality, and then it will become authentic because you are allowing yourself to fully accept who you are for everything that you are. And if you want to get rid of that part because you understand it and you don't want to use that part as something in your life that helps keep you safe, then that is okay. You can get rid of that part, like I got rid of the facade that I was putting on in life. And now you can go forward in life being fully authentic with yourself, being fully authentic with other people, and by allowing yourself to be fully authentic and telling yourself that it's okay to be who you are, you're going to love yourself so much more fully than if you had not done this. So today's video growth challenge is that I want you to ask yourself, what parts of you have you created that are not fully being authentic with yourself, that you have told yourself are not okay to be you? What parts of you are there, and what can you do to understand them? Think about why they happened, and then ask yourself if you want to keep those parts and embrace them as a part of who you are, or if you want to get rid of those parts. And as you keep going forward in life, accept yourself fully for who you are, and you will have so much more love for yourself and so much more love for other people in this world. So that does it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.